Thank you for joining us. I am Frank Komalape. Shipments of used smartphones, including officially refurbished and used smartphones, reached 282.6 million units in 2022, where its unit growth represented an 11.5% increase over the 253.4 million units shipped in 2021. International Data Corporation, which gave these figures, estimated that this growth will reach 413.3 million units in 2026, with the compound yearly growth rate of 10.3% from 2021 to 2026. It estimated the market value of the shipments at $99.9 billion. IDC noted that trade-in programs continue to be the driving factor for the new and used smartphone market globally. The data organization said it witnessed new programs launched successfully across multiple regional markets, where trade is still a new concept for local consumers. Additionally, IDC said in mature markets such as America, Canada, and Western Europe, trade in continues to play a significant role in speeding up refresh cycles through telco and retail-driven promotions. This has contributed to an increase in trade-in value, which is typically when demand for new devices is low. The rise in TIV has pushed prices up in the secondary market, owing to consumers getting more for their old devices to help drive upgrades. Last year, the International Trade Center claimed that Nigeria spent about $2.35 billion on telephone importation in 3 years. ITC, which is an international body that focuses on trade, said the country spent $807.95 million on importation of phone sets in 2019 and $765.5 million in 2020 and $772.25 million in 2021. Away from there now, the price of household kerosene, also known as cooking kerosene, skyrocketed by over 100% in 1 year. Latest data from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics for November show that average retail price of kerosene per litre rose by about 146% from 441 naira in November 2021 to 1,083 naira per litre in the corresponding period of last year. The report indicated that average retail price per litre was 4% higher on a month-on-month basis in November 2022 compared to 1,041 naira recorded in October. On a state profile analysis, the highest average price per litre in November 2022 was recorded in Akwa Ibom with 1,417 naira, followed by Cross River with 1,367 naira, and Abuja with 1,307 naira respectively. And now Nigeria aims to produce 1.8 million barrels per day of production in the near future. Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation Group Chief Executive Officer Mele Kyari has said. According to him, the country could reach 2.2 million barrels per day by the end of 2023. Kyari was speaking at the Global UAE Energy Forum. At the end of December, Nigeria was producing 1.51 million barrels of crude oil per day as Nigeria struggled to achieve its OPEC quota in 2022. Kyari is optimistic it's practical to hit 2.2 million barrels per day in 2023 as the government struck a deal with a former militant turned a security contractor to crack down on oil theft. And in the meantime, the World Bank Group has once again lowered its growth projection for Nigeria's economy, citing a weakened oil sector as its primary reason. This was contained in the bank's Global Economic Prospect report published Tuesday. According to the projection, Nigeria's economy will further decelerate to 2.9% in 2023 and is not expected to record any growth in 2024. Report says Nigeria's growth weakened to 3.1% in 2022 and will further decelerate to 2.5% or 2.9% this year. A Washington-based bank said growth momentum in non-oil sector was likely to be restrained by continued weakness in the oil sector, which will negatively impact Nigeria's oil-based economy. The bank noted that a number of factors such as low oil output, insecurity, petrol subsidies, forex scarcity, among others, hampered growth in the country. The bank further noted that the poor economic growth of 2.9% in 2023 will be barely above population growth, which is often said to be around 2.5% in previous report. The latest projection came barely 3 weeks after the bank lowered its economic projection for Nigeria's economic growth from 3.8% to 3.1%. The report, which was prepared by the World Bank's Nigeria Development Update, has said that Nigeria's economy needs to grow faster to reduce poverty. The report noted that inflation had surged to 21.1% in October 2022, pushing as many as 5 million more Nigerians into poverty since the start of last year. They further stated that despite higher oil export revenues, official reserves have been falling and the currency market is severely distorted, undermining the business environment and investment. And now the Indian High Commissioner to Nigeria, Sri Balasubramanian, says over 135 Indian companies have so far invested $19 billion in Nigeria in the last 4 decades of diplomatic relations between the two countries. Balasubramanian has said that the relations between India and Nigeria has been excellent. He noted that India and Nigeria could cooperate through information sharing and news networks, among other things. Trade between Nigeria and India has strengthened over the years, resulting in a good number of India companies establishing their presence in Nigeria. The bilateral trade volume between Nigeria and India has reached $15 billion for the financial period of 2021 to 2022, representing an increase of 69.8%. At the meantime, Nigeria's downstream oil sector has been grappling with cases of incessant petrol scarcity since last year. The sole importer of the commodity, Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited, has repeatedly complained of the enormous burden of shuddering fuel subsidy for the country. On Monday, the Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Temi Silva, said NNPC was selling petrol at a loss because of its mandate from the federal government as regards fuel subsidy. Last week, the Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, said the federal government had budgeted about 3.6 trillion naira for fuel subsidy till June 2023. Reacting to the development, oil marketers stated on Wednesday that the fuel subsidy crisis in many parts of the country that often leads to fuel scarcity might persist till June, based on the government's plan to end petrol subsidy in that month. The National Public Relations Officer, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, Okadike Chinedu, told reporters that fuel import and subsidy were making Nigerians suffer. The President, Petroleum Retail Outlet Owners Association of Nigeria, Gillis Harry, also stated that the availability of petrol for marketers to distribute had remained an issue of concern. Commenting on the issue, a former president, Association of National Accountants of Nigeria, Sam Ezekwe, said that crisis in the downstream oil sector will be best addressed when Nigeria's refineries become functional. And now the government of Ukraine has expressed its readiness to establish grain hubs in Nigeria and other African countries, as it donated about 25,000 tons of grains to Nigeria to boost bilateral ties. Ukrainian Minister of Agrarian Policy and Food, Mykola Solsky, made this known on Tuesday in Abuja when he led a delegation that met with the Minister of Foreign Affairs, Geoff Onyema. Solsky said that the grain from Ukraine will arrive in Nigeria in February under the initiative called Grains from Ukraine. He said that despite the war with Russia, the Ukrainian food industry wanted to have closer relations with Nigeria. Onyema, who empathize with the Ukraine over its ongoing war with Russia, also lauded it for the grain donation, pointing out that the gesture was coming even when the country was still at war. He thanked Ukraine for extending its support to Nigeria and other African countries despite the current situation in the country. Onyema noted that Nigeria had long-standing relations with Ukraine, lamenting that some of the victims of the war in Ukraine were the large number of Nigerian students whose studies have been disrupted by the war. And now, analysts on iBrand's business breakfast program, Umaru Aminu, has faulted the privatization process of the power sector in the country. Umaru Aminu, while speaking in a Zoom interview earlier in the day, said the process did not conform to standard practice, hence the current happenings in the sector. He said the federal government has abandoned its part of the process to the state and local government.
In the electricity sector, the privatization was just, it's just symbolic, but still millions and billions of taxpayer money is being synced into the discourse each and every day. The sector, though you have private shareholders, but even maintenance of the distribution lines, you find it is largely done by the state governments, the local governments, the politicians. Now a transformer will have a problem, and it will be for the politicians and the people of an area to try and buy just a common transformer. So what I'm saying, privatization is supposed to be like a weaning. If a mother gives a birth, she will be tendering a baby to a certain extent before they will be of the, breastfeeding. They wean them.
You've been watching Business Now, coming to you live from our studios. Still to come after this commercial break. Sudan lowers local fuel prices for January. We'll bring you details, a more news update after this commercial break. Please stay with us.